Grace and peace to you. I want to read to you Hebrews 10 and 23. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. That is Hebrews 10 and 23. I thank God for his word, and as we read his word, we gather so much out of it. I want to share with you a quick story. There was a married couple. The husband had went through some severe illnesses, and the wife had to take off her job, and they would begin to go back and forth to doctor visits and all of those things. In the midst of those situations, they began to experience some financial hardships. They were in foreclosure. They were going into foreclosure of their home, and the bills were beginning to become behind. And so they decided to wake up every morning at 3 a.m. and to walk around their property and begin to pray according to Philippians 4 and 19, that God will supply all their needs according to his riches and glory. That is a promise from God that we must hold on to. So in the midst of them waking up every morning, and they took their entire family and they began to walk around their property and believing that God will supply all of their needs according to his riches and glory. As they began to walk around their property every morning at 3 a.m. and they began to pray and they began to shout out loud and they began to believe God that he would supply their needs and that everything that they had lost, that they would recover. This is the interesting part of the story. Their neighbor heard them every morning, and by the seventh day, he began to become so frustrated that he said within himself, there's a shoebox in my closet that I have been saving up money for years. I'm going to give them this box full of money, and that'll shut their mouths, because I'm trying to get some rest for work. I'm trying to get some rest so I can get up and go to work. But every morning I hear them walking around the house, disturbing my sleep. So he gets up in anger and frustration, and he goes over and he hands them that shoebox. He hands the husband that shoebox, not knowing what was in it. He says to the husband, he shoves it to him and says, I want you to take this money, and I want you to go back in your house and shut up. He says, because that God you're praying to, he's not real. He don't answer your prayers, and you need to stop praying to a God. He is not real. I'm going to give you the answer to your problem. Here it is. And goes angrily back in his house. The husband and the wife and the family are sitting there. They're standing outside and they're in disbelief. They can't believe what just happened. They can't believe that the neighbor come out of his house at 3 something in the morning, and he actually heard them, and that he had gave them some type of money. They didn't even know what it was. They go back in the house and they open up the box, and in the box is filled with hundreds and twenties and all types of money, and they begin to count the money. They discover that there is enough money in that box to not only catch their bills up, but there is enough money in that box to get them ahead of their bills for the next year. So what am I saying in this story? God is a promise keeper. You don't know how God is going to bring you your breakthrough. All you need to do is continue to believe in the promise keeper. As we hold fast the confession of our faith, we don't know how God is going to bring us our breakthrough, but we know he is a promise keeper. See, they didn't have a clue how they were going to get their promise keeper, how the promise keeper was going to answer their prayers. But they knew if they keep believing in him, that he is just and he is faithful to those that continue to believe in him, and he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. So what their neighbor thought he was doing for their evil, he said to himself, I'm going to give them the answer. But God already had a plan in mind. So I want to share with you today, you may be going through a difficult situation, and you may feel like God is not answering your prayers. It's not going to come in the way you think it's going to come, but it's the way that God already foreordained for it to come. So I want you to hold fast to the confession of your faith. And don't be surprised that your breakthrough is going to come in a way that you don't see it coming. This is Walter Wardlaw Jr. signing off. Continue to pray for me as I pray for you.